Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well.
I'm Thomas. I called about the tour.
I'm Caroline. It's
Good
nice
to meet you.
ya.
Good to meet you. Is you the one I spoke to?
Yes.
All right. So it's just me, huh?
Yep, just you today.
Hell yeah.
The one-on-one tour.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So where are you from?
I'm from Ireland. What they would do is they would get what it was called a buffalo runner. A buffalo runner was a brave anywhere between 8 to 16 years old, and they were meticulous in their choosing of a buffalo runner because they had to be fast, smart, they had to be able to make the calls, because what they're doing is they're throwing on a calf, a buffalo calf hide, and he's getting two of his homies known as hazers to wear wolf or coyote hides to mimic from the distance, because buffalo's sight isn't that good. So what they would do is they'd make the cries of a fallen calf or an injured calf, and they would wait, because the buffalo herd will follow the matriarch, the lead cow. They'll follow her to the moon and back, or in this case, over a fucking cliff.
Welcome to Wapachugan Buffalo Jump. So you are actually at one of only 3 open to the public buffalo jumps in all of the state of Montana. Though actually we have over 300 known buffalo jumps that have been researched in Montana.
The real deal Holyfield evidence. Shall we?
Yeah, so this site, and I'll just talk as we walk.
Let's go.
The site was found in 1961.
Okay.
Actually, fun fact, by a 14-year-old boy named John Brumley. You may have seen him and his wife's name kind of plastered everywhere in the interpretive center. He was a bit of an amateur archaeologist himself.
Oh, he was 14?
He was 14 when he found this place.
Wow.
And he had heard rumors from different railroad workers and people, who were working on the mall, because this was being built back in the mid-60s.
Mm-hmm.
And he had heard, oh yeah, if you come to this one coulee by the river, there's a ton of, huge animal bones that you can just kick around, like these.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just kick them out of the way as you're walking through. Like, the railroad actually had to throw bison bone out of the way when they were building the railroad down through here. And he said, I bet, and came and went to investigate it himself and see what he could find. And he actually found that stone knife that was in that very first display cabinet.
Really?
That was the very first artifact found on site back in '61. And due to that, he was able to bring the site to the attention of the Milk River Archaeological Society, which is our kind of hometown chapter of archaeology enthusiasts.
Uh-huh.
Who, kind of had a bit of an interest, a bit of know-how in knowing what to look for. And they started digging this place out, and for the next 28 years, off and on, different state, regional, amateur, professional archaeologists and anthropologists, researchers came through the site seasonally and discovered that the site has been in use for at least 2,000 years.
Damn.
Well, 2,000 years back. 1,500 years of use.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this site was in use total from off and on from 0 AD, so I always say, from the time of Christ until 1650, so 40 years before the Salem witch trials.
Okay.
To kind of give you that worldwide timeline of just how much changed.
And they have so much documentation on the Salem witch trials, so it's like, that's recent history if you think about it. Exactly. If you, in the grand scheme of things. All right.
Yeah, it's crazy when you look towards the tail end of the site being used, this was only 450 years ago, about, give or take. And, we just learned so much of how these groups were using the site. And one of the craziest things is, over 1,000 years of use and not that much change. And they would find these herds up towards the top of the bluffs, kind of out in the prairie proper. And when they had identified which members of the herd they wanted to drive off the cliff, they would task tribal members who were buffalo runners, that was kind of the name for it, to take bison calf hides, so that kind of tawny, smaller hide, drape it over themselves and lead bison away from the rest of the herd towards the edge of the cliff. Start walking them this way. The old women's complex towards the very end of the site being used. So this would have been 1500s, early 1600s, around that time period. And that tells us that there were so many bison that they could be really choosy and just take the cuts that were serving their tool needs or the kinds of food that they were wanting at that given point in time. They could be a little more specific, which tells us, the bison were abundant and they were doing really well for themselves. They weren't in a state of, kind of food poverty.
And nothing bad ever happened to the buffalo. End of story.
Exactly.
End of story.
Happy ever after. Through the ground, the bison coming by, they would jump up with their hides and they'd be waving them, hooping and hollering to try to trigger a stampede. Especially the closer they got to the cliff. Because that way they couldn't stop and come and run at you.
And what about didn't the buffalo runner, wasn't he a younger cat? And he had, didn't they call him hazers with the wolf hides?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so the buffalo runners would be at the front of this herd. It might be like at a site like Head Smashed In up in Alberta, Canada, which is one of the biggest ones. They would actually sometimes choose their buffalo jumps based on cliffs that had outcroppings that they could jump down to and have the bison go over their heads. At a site like this, they probably would have just run to the side.
Or behind the corral if they could make it that far.
Or if they could really sprint down a hill and not totally biff it, they might run and then get around the corral. Essentially any way to get out of the way of the bison.
So how would they do it here, you said? They would kind of, or that you're just surmising that they would go down the hill, and how would the buffalo runner get out of the way?
Yeah, so the buffalo runner, once they hit the edge of the cliff, their whole job was don't get squished. So we've seen at contemporary sites from the same period, a lot of the times they would just have to haul it to the side and get behind the drive line to kind of protect them. Because a really common way to die was buffalo runners would get smashed by a bison if they didn't get out of the way in time. That's why Head Smashed In is actually called what it is, because a buffalo runner got curious one day, wanted to see the bison, and got his head smashed in by a bison falling. So, fun fact. Sad fact. And the things that stone boiling would create, like fire-cracked rock, which then could be made a tool to kind of waste not, want not.
Totally.
Very cool. Any questions before we move on?
No, this is awesome. Keep it cruising.
Beautiful.
You're doing great. I love it. I can just shut up. I'm usually a chatty Cathy.
We also have a good little diagram on a lot of the uses of different parts of the bison here. Other than just they were turning bones into tools, they were using the meat. There's also kind of fun facts like, they used a dried out bison tongue as a hairbrush. It was also a delicacy. They were using the stomach contents of dead bison as paints and medicines. That's just two examples of many uses they found. Yeah, so a lot of these were different bits found on site as well as pulled from other sites of the way that different native groups using the site would actually use bison bone to make most of their tools. Because a fun fact about the site is this entire site is fully pre-contact. It actually also predates the horse to this part of North America. So they were really working off of stone, bone, and wood in terms of their tool sources. And we kind of have a nice little idea of just how many kinds of bone they were working with here with our model that we got from the Yellowstone herd back in the 90s.
Wow.
But they would often fashion like the scapula or the shoulder blade of a bison. That had a ton of purposes. This is a full maturity male, but they would take the scapula and actually turn them into like shovels or serving plates, canoe paddles. That's just some, or a way to transport like for example, we'll talk about this in house too, but fire heated rocks, they would actually use those as tongs essentially.
Oh yeah.
So you wouldn't hurt yourself. And then like the ribs of the bison, they would whittle down into extremely large sewing needles for stitching together bison hide to make teepee covers, stuff like that, or bed rolls, clothing, to punch through those really thick leathers.
Yeah, that's what I saw over here.
So they would find. I always think of like kind of obscure uses for all of these different bones that, you know, it would take us in the modern day a long time to think of.
It'd be a shame if somebody came along and shot all of them.
I know. It would really throw things off for these groups if someone were